Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Som TV podcast. My name is Jason Wise. We have a great one for you today. On today's pod, I have Pat Monahan, the lead singer of the band Train, who is an obsessive wine guy, knows so much about it, makes wine, and actually his new album coming out in May has wine in the vinyl. You'll hear about it on the podcast. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick our favorite rock songs that have wine in them as a cameo or they're about wine. I've been waiting to do this. We do the movie one. But music is when you need somebody who knows the musicians and can talk about it. So Pat's got some pretty great stories to go along with our picks here. It's good stuff. Before I talk to Pat Monahan, I want to tell everybody that one of the biggest wine and spirits events for professionals is happening in Miami, May 7th and 8th. Get ready for Vinexpo America 2025, the premier event uniting the global beverage industry. Join us May 7th and 8th in Miami Beach Convention Center for 2 days of unparalleled networking, insightful conferences, and exclusive tastings of wines, spirits, beers, and also no and low alcohol beverages. Explore the latest trends, connect with the top producers from around the world, and elevate your business in the vibrant heart of Miami. Don't miss this opportunity to be part of the industry's most anticipated gathering. Register now at vinexpo-america.com and secure your place at Vinexpo. But guess what, Som TV audience? You get to go for free. If you're in the industry, use code VAMERICA25, VAMERICA25, to claim a complimentary badge to, honestly, one of the greatest events in wine in the year. And this is their first time in Miami. They used to do it in Manhattan. So if you've never been to this event, you have to go. Without further ado, my conversation about music and wine with Pat Monahan. Pat, it is truly an honor to have you on the Som TV podcast. I'm sure when you were winning your Grammys, you were thinking one day you would finally
I'm going to have the chance.
have the chance. So this is, we do this thing. Obviously, our listeners know and love this podcast we do where we find cameos of wine in movies and television shows, and we've covered a lot. Music has always been one of these things that could we do it? We need the right guest, and here you are. And
here we are together.
Here we are. So you and I are going to pick 3 of our top song cameos that feature wine.
Okay.
But before we do that, I want to talk about your wine a little bit and what you're doing. I have to say, you were one of the very first people that reached out to me when I directed my first film, Som.
Yeah.
And you messaged us and said how much you liked it. And I'm not going to lie, my heart melted out of my chest.
You did such a beautiful job with it, showing not just the difficulty, but how emotional it is for these high-level wine connoisseurs that, some of them are up all night just trying to cram for something that's almost impossible.
I think when you tweeted at me, when Twitter was it was a very big, important place, more so now than it is. And I really credit you for getting a lot of people to know that the film existed in its early morning. So I just want to publicly thank you enormously for what you did.
For me. No, it's my pleasure. Really awesome. Anything great should be seen.
Well, that's good. I appreciate being in that conversation. So let's talk about your wine. Tell me what it is and why you chose Napa and why you did this finally. What is the wine that you're working on?
The road of Save Me San Francisco wine has been quite long. It started about 14 or maybe 15 years ago, where we made a simple table red blend that was not out of Napa. We just wanted it to be an affordable $20 bottle of wine that Train fans could enjoy and get a taste of the Bay Area. So a lot of the wine was sourced out of, East Bay, Sonoma, or the fruit was, and it was made in the East Bay by the wine group. And we partnered with them for many years and sold millions of bottles of wine. But the real goal was to raise money for our charity in San Francisco called Family House, which I think many cities have something like this. It's very much like a Ronald McDonald House. Mm-hmm. UCSF Hospital, they specialize in surgeries that are incredibly difficult for children, brain tumors, things that, a lot of these kids are dealing with in their eyes. Many of them are terminally ill, and many of them have to just try to get through it. And these parents, they don't have the money. They quit their jobs so they can support these children. And they basically moved to San Francisco. And at the time we partnered with them, they had 2 houses that maybe had 12 rooms each. So that's 24 rooms that were booked every second of every day with, lower income families and their children, just trying to get a little dignity while they try to help their child survive. So partnering with them and the proceeds of the wine that we were making going to them was an easy choice. And since then, they've been able to build an 80-room building that is also filled every single day in San Francisco. And they're working on a second 80-room building.
Wow.
And that will also be filled every day, which is super sad that there's that much illness happening. But it's also incredible to be a part of something that's so positive. And there's such expertise in the San Francisco area to help these children survive. So that was easy. Millions of bottles of wine were sold to help these guys and to help contribute to that 80-room complex that really does give these families dignity. And since then, we have partnered with our new partners. They're called Gestalt. Mm-hmm. And Dave Finney is the winemaker who is responsible for The Prisoner, Orange Swift, and many other projects that are just absolutely beautiful. And that wine is sourced out of mostly Napa, a little bit of Sonoma. And that's just nothing but a pleasure for me because Napa is, the heart of beautiful California wine. This is also it's just considered a red wine, but it's a lot of Cabernet and it tastes incredible. And this is a new partnership that's less than a year old. And the same goes for those proceeds going to Family House.
Man, how can somebody say wine's a bad thing after hearing what you just said? That's incredible that you use all this to do so much good. I wish more people were doing that. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, wine, I didn't drink any alcohol for 17 years from the time I was 27 to 44. And we were making this wine, and my wife was like, "Don't you think you should taste it?" And I said, I don't know where this is going to go, but if you're willing to go down this road with me, I'll taste this wine. And now I can't stop tasting wine. I need the wine.
Yeah, it is definitely a wormhole. I can say that now. I have hundreds of hours of stuff I've directed and tons of wines and people that I have changed my life that I've met. It is definitely a wormhole's an understatement. One last question before we get to some music stuff. How involved are you in the blending and the choices?
I'm only involved in, tasting several blends and, making my choice of which one I think is the most appealing to my palate, which, doesn't necessarily mean it will appeal to others. But if we all choose the same one, then I think we're on to something. But Dave and Sebastian, they spend so much time making this wine right that there's really, they'll give me another option just for the fun of it, but they know which one everybody's going to love.
Yeah, it's kind of like they say, if you cast a movie right, you've done 70% of the work. Same goes if you have the right quarterback and the right, the right receiving core, you're probably going to do 50% of the offense is going to be there. So
that's right.
That's a good call. Well, I am beyond excited to speak about, and we'll talk about where people can get your wines and should, especially now that that the profits go to something so important. That's a real easy situation. We know the wines are going to be good because the wine.
You can see. I just think of wine as it's different than other alcohols where there's such a tradition in it. And I started making minestrone soup weekly, whether it's the summer or the winter, because I read that there's a part of Italy that these people are living to 100, 120 years old. And what they have in common is that they have red wine and minestrone soup every day. And I'm like, I got the red wine bit sorted. I've got that. But the minestrone soup, I found a beautiful recipe that I finagled a little bit. And now we have minestrone soup and red wine a lot. So I plan on living.
A lot of people don't know this about you, but you're 104. So it's
I'm
kind
104.
Of nice.
That's
yeah.
Exactly
So it's
right.
it's kind of interesting that it's worked.
I look it. I know that.
No, you do not. Get out of here. All right, let's talk. So we each picked 3 songs that feature wine.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping you have some takes on these songs. I think let me start with one pick. Okay, that I have. I picked an easy one. This one is the incredibly important song from Queen, Killer Queen, off the 1974 album, Sheer Heart Attack. The line is, "She keeps her Moet and Chandon in her pretty cabinet, Let them eat cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Let them eat cake, she says, just like Marie Antoinette.
It's like too easy of a pick. I had to pick it though because it's in my brain. This is a song that gets stuck and loops and loops and loops.
Well, Freddie Mercury was something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe he wrote this song. So this came right out of his brain.
Yeah.
And I mean, I assume what they're trying to say here is something about class, and obviously that. But here's my question to you: is Moet and Chandon a good enough champagne for him to have picked here to say what he's trying to say? Should it have been a more expensive wine?
You know, I don't know that people are as hip to the levels of champagne. I mean, when you mention Dom Perignon, everyone will know that. So maybe he should have talked about that. But, Krug is more expensive, and there are other, high level champagnes that you would know more about than I do. But I think he probably was making a statement of the best known labels to people who could buy champagne in the UK. That's my take on why he chose those.
Yeah, I would assume he drank quite a bit of champagne.
Plus they probably, when you sing certain things, they sound better than other things. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he probably put that in there just for the intonation and kind of
because Krug is hard to sing.
So let's see. She keeps her Krug in her pretty cabinet. That sounds kind of rough.
Doesn't sing the same.
Yeah, Moet Chandon. Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. All right, what do you what have you picked here? Give me your first song.
So my first pick is off of the Save Me San Francisco album, because at the time we had 3 wines out, and the song Save Me San Francisco mentions one of the labels that we had at the time, which was a Merlot that we called Hella Fine Merlot. And so in the lyric, it was basically singing about getting back to San Francisco. And I would even go back to Alcatraz, because at least they would have a Hella Fine Merlot.
Take me to my city by the bay. I never knew all that I had. Now Alcatraz don't sound so bad. At least they'd have a Hella Fine Merlot.
So that was my throwing in our own brand in the song.
I like the hella too. That's such a Bay Area thing. Hella.
Yeah.
Hella fine.
And I can say that because I'm so young, I can use hella. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. So far we've got one of your songs. We've got Queen. We're so far we're betting 1,000. This is too easy a pick, and I'm not sure there's a lot we can pontificate on it, but I have to pick Spill the Wine by War. Eric Burden. This is a song, another one that wrenches itself into my brain and never, ever leaves.
So my next song is Billy Joel. It's scenes from an Italian restaurant where his lyric is bottle of white, bottle of red, maybe a bottle of rosé instead.
A bottle of white, a bottle of red, perhaps a bottle of rosé instead.
Billy's such a real writer. I think his being from New York is a big part of that realness. And that's why he's one of the most beloved guys in the music industry.
He's such a private guy. Like you don't hear a lot about his personality out in the open. I mean, you know him or have met him.
I've been around Billy a few times. We actually sat together at Howard Stern's wedding when he married Beth Ostrowski. And I asked Billy, because we sat at the same table, I was like, Billy, if you sang if you sang Always a Woman to me right now, you would bring the house down. So he went up and he sang a James Taylor song. But that's like the perfect description of Billy. Like, he's like, man, there's better songs. Like, come on, man. He's one of the all-time greats. But that's what's so lovable about him.
That's great. What do you think he's trying to say with bottle white, bottle red, maybe rosé? What do you think is the context? Just we need a drink? Doesn't matter?
I think, when you think about Italian food, you want to have a glass of wine. And when you think about a beautiful date, you would start with that. So you choose. You want a bottle of white, a bottle of red, rosé instead. I just want to be here, looking at your face.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I love Billy Joel. I mean, anybody who can write "Good Night Saigon" is in my book of saints.
Yeah.
It's that's a great pick. All right, so for my next pick, I have a song that it embodies the age I grew up in so well. The music that played when I was in high school, and it's an easy pick. Maybe it's a cheap pick, but man, do I want to hear you talk about this band that has never been more timely. And it is Oasis, Champagne Supernova.
Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova, a champagne supernova in the sky.
It's just too easy to pick this song. Every job I've ever had, it's been playing on the speakers in the building. Every car ride, any dance I was at in high school. I mean, this is just, it's so integral to the fabric. And now these guys have reunited and they're going to go on tour. And that's got its own, sold out instantly kind of thing. But everyone, it's like theater. What's going to happen with these two brothers who have issues? Do you have a relationship with Oasis?
I've always dug Oasis. Even in the days when we were fighting for shelf space and we needed people to move so that we could, be seen, I've always rooted for those guys. And one time in London, I was walking and I saw Liam. Liam was like in a long jacket, and Drops of Jupiter was pretty big. And he looked over at me and he just kind of laughed. He kind of smiled and just kept walking. And it was like, that was a cool moment for me, because I was like, yeah, okay, we're in this together. But then I went and saw Liam open for The Who about 2 years ago. And he's still got the same charisma. And I think it's going to be a lot of great shows. I knew that they would do this at some point when they were offered the amount of money that they were offered. Like, any family feud can be solved with that kind of dough.
Yeah, I would say money can heal wounds the same as time can sometimes.
Yeah, like we always say that a hit song can cure all diseases.
Interesting. So the origin of this, it's pretty funny. I don't know, the Champagne Supernova. It actually supposedly comes from the Pixies album Bossa Nova.
Oh, cool.
And they misheard the title during a documentary about champagne.
Huh.
So it's like this very circular thing where they just thought it was funny, and there's no real meaning to the Champagne Supernova. But here's my interpretation. I don't know if you've ever had a buzz from different kinds of alcohol, but every single one of them kind of has a slightly different buzz. Sake, or God forbid, whiskey or something like that.
Yeah.
But champagne is a very different buzz. It feels, it affects you differently. So I like the idea and the alliteration of a Champagne Supernova. Kind of feels like what it's like when you have your.
I agree. That's a pretty way to put it. I had champagne yesterday. My brother-in-law and his wife, or my sister-in-law and her husband, I should say, and their kids came over to swim in our pool in the freezing cold. And we decided champagne was what we were going to have. So we started with the Veuve. We had a rosé and then the yellow label. And then, because I didn't realize we were going to continue to drink champagne, then we went to the Dom. And then, and then we, that was basically it for a while. But it's such a light, depending on the champagne. Like I mentioned Krug earlier, I find Krug to be a masculine champagne. Like, my wife won't drink it. It seems like it's heavier in the Chardonnay taste, and that's not appealing to us. Like, we would rather have a lighter. I even love champagnes that are Pinots. Like, those are light and beautiful to me. And those buzzes are not like fall down the stairs, where like a big Napa cab, you're all of a sudden, if it's 15.5%, you're like, oh,
it hits
baby.
You. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's also, there's something about the body of a wine too that plays into that.
Yeah.
Where you feel, I don't know, full. It's a very different kind of
That's
thing.
Right.
But
yep. Yeah, it is.
Have you ever had any of the like 100% Pinot Meunier champagnes? I'm a huge fan of these wines.
I'm not sure. What would a label be that I could look into?
Well, La Hurt is one.
La Hurt?
Yeah, La Hurt. It's a great one. But they these wines are, that's kind of the third grape, and it grows down by the Marne River. And it's a very fascinating, very floral grape that is
Yeah,
rarely
see,
done on its own.
I'd be way into that.
Yeah,
Like
you would
I
love it.
stay away from Chardonnay, and unless it is a champagne or a white Burgundy.
Yeah, well, it seems like you're drinking right. I'm a fan.
Yeah, like I
those
mean,
are good things to like.
Chablis are beautiful to me
Yep.
if you get the right one.
Yep.
But yeah, I lost my taste for the domestic white, and
Yeah.
I'll even drink a little like Cloudy Bay or something at some point.
A
But
Sauv Blanc, yeah, like a
yeah.
New Zealand Sauv Blanc, yeah. Well, I mean, you've good taste. What is your last song here? What did you pick?
My last song is a song we perform quite a lot called "Going to California" by Led Zeppelin.
One of my absolute favorites.
Spend my days with a woman unkind, smoke my stuff and drink all my wine.
That's my song right there. That's my jam, as the kids say.
So the woman drank all his wine, or he enjoyed doing that, but now it's time to move on. What do you think is the way he's?
I think she drank all his wine, and that really pissed him off.
Yeah. I feel bad for that woman knowing Led Zeppelin's.
Yeah. Now she's out of Led Zeppelin. It's like the Pete Best story with the Beatles. Did he smoke all their stuff and drink all their wine? What happened to Pete?
Yes and yes, probably.
Yeah, right.
Is the truth of the matter. I love, this is unassailable song. One of the greatest of greats of all time.
One of the greats.
And just the beginning of the guitar pick happening when it starts, it is like you just want to sit down in a chair. It's great. It's so fantastic.
It's a mandolin that really makes that song pop.
Did you ever have a chance to work with or meet these guys? I mean, you cover their songs. I know they're really particular about how their songs are performed. And have you crossed paths? Have they given you
there are a couple of instances. One is years ago, because my band has changed so much that I'm the last original member. And so the people in the band are so talented and they're such close friends that I wanted the world to see how talented my band was. So we recorded Led Zeppelin 2 in its entirety.
Wow.
And my managers at the time were like, yeah, just go have some fun. Then they heard it and they were like, oh boy, this is actually really good. But if we release it and Led Zeppelin, hears it and they don't back it, that's a bad look because they're our heroes. So we had to send it to them. And the way they manage their business is they basically have a council. And so all that music that, hey, we want to use you for a beer commercial or whatever, it all passes through the board or does not. Mm-hmm. And I guess Jimmy Page heard it and gave us his blessing. And that money also went to Family House. That was any money that was made from making that album was not for us. Basically Led Zeppelin got most of it and then Family House got the rest. And it was just a fun project. And then the second thing, we recorded a live at Royal Albert Hall last year. And it was such an incredible pleasure to be in that building.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I had worked all morning going to do radio and, being the singer, I'm the one that has to go do all that. And so my two guitar players are at the hotel, and wouldn't you know, Jimmy Page is also there. So they talked to Jimmy and asked him if he would come and play with us at Royal Albert. And he couldn't, but he asked what song we were going to do. And they said Ramble On. And he was like, oh, that's a lovely one. And so they have a picture with Jimmy Page. And I was at a radio station. So thanks, guys.
There's a real famous story that I always think of with Led Zeppelin when Cameron Crowe was doing Almost Famous, the film, which is just an all-timer for me.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he puts needle down on the record, and the music they had said, yes, you can use this song. And it was a big deal for Cameron Crowe because at that time, Led Zeppelin was not granting any permission for movies or anything. And they play the music and they go and it's a montage and all this stuff. And Led Zeppelin got a chance to review the movie before it came out. And they said, we don't approve. He said, why? He said, because that's not where it's located on the LP. You dropped it on track 2. It's track 4. And they had to reshoot the scene of him putting the needle down on the record in the right track. Before
Oh, wow.
And that's, you know,
Well,
just
Cameron had to learn a lesson, I guess.
yeah, it's just that, but I think they were happy to do it considering they got the song and the engagement from Led Zeppelin. So
authenticity.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, we're at the end of our picks, but I do have to say I'm proud of us. We didn't pick UB40, Red Wine. I'm proud of you.
Such a good song, though.
It is a good song.
Red wine.
But it's just too easy. I mean, it's just too easy for this. Maybe it'll get picked later, but you have any other honorable mentions before we get going?
I know you do. You spend a lot of time studying this part of music more than I do. So what do you got?
Is that a good way to say I'm basically unemployed? That's
it's a good way to say that you're always looking for the gems. And the gems for you are wine related.
Well, I have another one, but it would have been either this or Killer Queen, and it's another Billy Joel song, Big Shot.
Well, you went uptown riding in your limousine with your fine Park Avenue clothes. You had the Dom Perignon in your hand and the spoon up your nose.
Yeah.
Gotta be a big shot. And you had the Dom Perignon in your hand and the spoon up your nose. And it's used in a way to say, much like a lot of Billy Joel's songs where he's kind of positioning himself of like, I'm not good enough for you. You know, Uptown Girl and all this stuff. But in this thing, he's just using Dom Perignon as a great totem to say, you know, your lifestyle is better than mine.
And is You're So Vain, does that have, you walked into the party like you were walking onto a yacht? I'm not sure if there's wine in that.
I bet there is. He uses it often as a thing to discern. You know, wine can be so many things. And it also, like if somebody has a bottle of Dom, and they have it in their hand, you can automatically say, well, this person's of means.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even, they use it in the movie Goodfellas and all these things to do that. I mean, that's why Dom has that famous label and they never changed it. Well, where can people get Gestalt wines? This is something we want to make sure everybody gets. And I'll put a link, obviously.
If you visit SaveMeSanFrancisco.com, we will send it to you. It's in a beautiful package. What the guys have done was we take Save Me San Francisco because that's the label by Gestalt. You have 3 bottles of the same red blend, but with different labels because they're very artistic. And then the record that you can play on a record player, of course. And if you go to that website, you can check out how to order it. We also made like 100 copies of the Save Me San Francisco album with the Gestalt wine inside the vinyl. So when you watch it spin, you're listening to the record, and it looks like a current lava lamp. It's actually a beautiful. It's
actually
thing.
Got the wine in the vinyl.
It's got
like
the wine,
actual one.
Yeah, and it's a wild thing because you have to sell it to adults because it has wine in it.
Oh my God! Like you could eat it or something. I mean,
because you can pop it open.
Man, what a hell of a wine! That's a good wine cameo in music. Jeez,
yeah,
great way to bring it home here, land the plane.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, Pat, it is a tremendous honor. I know you're a busy guy, so thank you for taking your time and thanks for being on the podcast. Big fan.
Well, I'm a big fan of yours. Keep making more Saw movies. I want to see what happens to these people. I want to see what happens to the woman who works at the Four Seasons in Orlando. I want to see if she's going to be the 37th woman to be a master Som.
Well, we'll reach out and see if check on her mental health, see how she's doing.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for listening. Man, do I love doing this stuff. If you guys have any other ideas or songs we missed, hit us up. Send us messages on social media. You can find us at SomTV on Instagram or on Twitter. And let us know what we missed. I'd love to hear from you. We will be, in the future, putting up a link so that you can get the album that Pat has produced with wine in it and all of that. But right now, don't forget that if you are anywhere near Miami, May 7th through 8th, anywhere near it, you have to go. Because you can get a free complimentary badge to VinExpo America if you use the code VAMERICA25, VAMERICA 25, to claim a complimentary badge. And go to vinexpo-america.com. I want to thank everybody for listening so much, and be safe and drink something that sounds good. We'll talk soon.